Welcome to the Seven Figure Leaders podcast. This podcast was created to celebrate the success stories of seven-figure business owners, giving them a platform to share their insights and lessons learned in order to inspire other business owners. As well as that, it's an opportunity to build new connections. So if you're a seven-figure business owner or someone who works with seven-figure business owners and you're looking for introductions to potential stakeholders, strategic partners and clients, I'd love to hear from you or have you on as a guest and see if I can help make those connections for you. Just go to synergycfosolutions.co. That's synergycfosolutions.co and click podcast. And there you'll find the link to apply. Welcome. And today we've got Shilpa P, business growth coach. Welcome, Shilpa.
Thank you, Tom. So nice to see you on this glorious day.
You too. So best place to start. Why don't you give us a bit of a background into who you are and what you do?
Yeah, great. I'm what I call myself a retired entrepreneur. I started my career working for the big boys, Pepsi, Coca-Cola. I just got frustrated working in FMCG marketing in such a tight process to climb up. Entrepreneurism was just starting. I come from an entrepreneurial family, 4 generations. My dad ran sweet shops back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. So my youth was spent in business. And one fine day, I thought, that's it. I'm going to set up a business. So I run 4 businesses. I've started, scaled, and sold 2. And recently, most people started asking me for advice and support. So I morphed into being a business coach.
Wow. Okay, great. So tell us a little bit about some of those earlier businesses. I think we probably don't have time to dive into all of them in huge amounts of detail. So just tell us kind of the highlights and whatever you want to share.
Yeah, my first business was all about running a platform where I brought people from overseas back to the UK, and that was a very interesting product because it allowed me to bring people from India and the subcontinent um, at massive profits. So it was very exciting opportunity. But of course, we had challenges with culture. Skills were there, but the actual fit and making sure what we call today global arbitrage with skills was something that I was doing then.
Okay. And so that was that the first one you started?
That's my first business. My second business was a little bit different. I trained to be a coach in 2000, and I saw a brilliant model over in the States. So I thought this is going to work fantastically in England. Our soft skills and coaching education was still growing. So back in 2003, I took that whole method from the US and brought it to England and was one of the first people to start accredited residential coach training in a short period of time, 2 weeks. And that became a global business, which got snapped up by one of my participants who loved the concept and loved the fact that he could do something different in life.
Okay, great.
And my final business was a digital marketing agency, which I exited 4 years ago. Way before social media, digital marketing became popular. I guess, people ask me, Shilpa, what's your superpower? I seem to just have this nose for when the next trend is and what's going to be happening. So that was a great business to run as well. Very exciting, servicing professional services firms, accountants, and lawyers who needed regulatory marketing, but yet still needed to have that face with the consumer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've been through lots of different things. And so how did that lead to kind of where you are now and what you're doing now? And what are you doing now?
Yeah, I'm a business growth coach. So I work with small businesses and businesses that want to grow, specifically want to grow and make more profit. Love Monday, Free Friday has been my philosophy and my brand. As a business owner, it was just me. I had my largest business, I had 40 staff, but it was still me at the helm. And I had to learn what I was doing, and I suffered from burnout. And I got to the ripe old age of 45. I'd retired and I thought, hey, hang on a minute. I forgot to have a life. So I really believe that grow your business, love your business, and make a wonderful business, but don't forget to live your life. Spend time with your family, be home in time to hug your children, have experiences. To use a very cheesy phrase, you live once, YOLO. What is it to you? Because I think life can go fast. And it's really important to love your work and grow a business and make good profit, but don't be a slave to it and balance that out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so, is there a particular type of business owner that you work with?
I tend to work with businesses between 1 to 10 million. They have some semblance of their market share. They know what their products are and what's going to work. And my job is fine tuning that and growing that market share for them and showing them areas where actually even money on the table. I do that using proprietary AI software where I analyze with them over a 5 day period what is it in their business that's working, what is their business they could do better. And it could be something as simple as maybe having a joint venture relationship, which is perhaps going to be giving maybe another 12, 15% to their of sales, which they can convert, and that's regular. I also have a coaching container which I use for smaller businesses, perhaps startups, consultants, coaches, small service-based businesses that perhaps want to get to their first 100,000, first 500,000, first million.
Okay. So let's say I'm a business in that 1 to 10 million range, just so that everyone can kind of see clearly how you fit into the picture. Yeah, let's say I'm at 5 million. I'm a professional services business, and I want to double the business to 10 million. I don't know how to do it. So what would I do? Would I come to you, and you would help me do it? What would you do? What would kind of the steps be?
Yeah, great, great. I take businesses like that through initial diagnostic experience, where we look at what is in the business that's working, what can we do to grow that upon that, and more a strategic overview of how to grow the business. I work with about 52 specific modules that I go and deep dive in. And any business at any one given time, we're probably going to concentrate on 12 of them: systems, policies, culture, team building, retention, attrition. One of the biggest challenges I have at the moment, actually finding the right staff for businesses to grow, for them to grow, and of course the underpin between all of them, which is sales and marketing. Have they got a sales team? Are they remunerating them? A lot of businesses in that range I find have great marketing and they have an agency and they maybe have an executive, but they're just doing things because they think they need to. They think they need to be having Facebook ads. They think they need to be having a TikTok channel.
Hmm.
We go back to the strategic elements of actually what is going to evaluate, what's going to give us the biggest opportunity in that, and
Yeah,
then we'll put a plan together.
yeah, that's very interesting that you mentioned it like that, and it's kind of the same well, it's the same outcome, but from a different angle that I come from with what I do. So obviously, what I do is focused on the numbers, and then using the numbers to paint a picture of what's working and not working. And that's pretty much what you're doing there. Is perhaps not starting with the numbers, but you're working out what's working and not working in the business, and from there, putting together a strategy that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value as you see with your clients in that top down and drilling down into the processes, into what is working. You're looking at hard numbers. I'm probably looking at the numbers, but I'm probably looking in each different area. Yeah. It's a valuable approach, and especially for a business owner when they haven't had that ability or time. Many business owners, I'm sure you'll agree, are so busy in the business, and having been one several times, um, I know how easy it is to fight fires and be involved in managing staff, going to meetings, and your week and your month and your year's gone, but you haven't had the opportunity to actually evaluate what efforts can I put where to actually see the result. And often it's just tiny improvements.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very interesting. And so what are the biggest challenges or biggest problems that you see business owners facing, or obstacles that they can't overcome?
It's tends to be really wide and varied. One that I already talked about, which is very current, is the ability to attract the right talent, the ability to retain, and to also grow that talent. A lot of businesses are great in that they've grown, they've maybe got to that 1 million, that 5 million. So they've got a good group of people to have achieved that. But how do they actually manage that and move forward? People are the lifeblood of businesses. The other challenge that I see a lot is that businesses are spending way too much of marketing, but not really getting a good enough bang for their pound, their buck. So actually, teaching business owners, marketing departments, how to make that difference, and how to make sure that if they've got a 500,000 spend, a 1 million spend on marketing to bring that business in, how to make that go further, and are there other avenues that we can explore? Is there a joint venture relationship that's going to give you genuine leads on an ongoing basis? Is there an opportunity to diversify into a different market or a different service, which is again going to be that niche? Um, and in an ever saturated world, I'm seeing a lot of opportunity for differentiation and businesses struggling how to stand out. Let's talk about accountants and lawyers. They're all the same. Yes, you'll go to their Google review page and they've got great reviews, but what is the difference and how does the consumer choose between them? So it's also bringing in all those levels. I'm seeing a decline on emphasis on customer service purely because business owners don't have the time, and so they're doing their work and then they're forgetting that, hang on, we've got a client, they've spent a significant amount of money with us. Where is the love afterwards? Where is the customer care? So they're recommending us. We've got word of mouth marketing. And also, perhaps if there's some business in the future, they know that the experience they've had working with us is phenomenal and they come back.
Yeah. And so what you would do is put together a strategy, or firstly identify what the problem is, but then more importantly, put together a strategy for the business owner to implement with their team to
Yes.
kind of address that issue. Is that what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Tend to work in 90-day chunks because that's manageable. You can see where you're going and you'll understand this. We can put KPIs together and we can actually evaluate the difference that we've made in those 90 days. It's also then not overwhelming for business owners because I think often when consultants, coaches come into a business, they pile the business owner with so much work that it's impossible for them to actually do that and have the space. The other thing I like to do, Tom, is create space in the business owner's CEO's diary, so they've got time to think and be more strategic and start coming outside of the business, whether it's for an exit or whether it's to have more time for their life and to run this business on their own.
Yeah. And so how do you do that? Let's say I'm a business owner and I'm 1 million, 5 million doesn't really matter. I'm overwhelmed. I'm working every hour I can. I'm stressed and I just don't know. I don't know how to grow the business.
Yeah,
How would you actually find that time and how would you
yeah,
take those things off my plate?
yeah. So that's $1 million question, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. It's a
So
difficult question, I know. Yeah.
some of the things that we'd look at is first of all productivity. My favorite thing, people that know me and have worked with me will always attest to is is every business in every meeting necessary? Is every meeting necessary? And I do this regularly. I'm working with a CEO at the moment, and on this exact problem, she's completely overwhelmed. She has a big project to launch. She just doesn't have the time. We're having weekly, daily calls, and her job is to first of all clear her diary. What can she ditch? What does she delegate? And what does she absolutely have to do? So, that very famous 3-step productivity rule really helps in getting sense of, well, I can trust my staff to do this. Please carry on, do this. And I'll review it at the end of the week. So, it's creating that performance management and creating gaps and space in your day so that you do have time to breathe.
Mm.
And when you can breathe, your day and your life is so much easier.
Yeah. And so what are you actually doing to grow your business or are you comfortable with the level you're at?
Yeah, I'm really comfortable being a pro at marketing. I'm very lucky to have a steady flow of clients. I have prescribed to the referral element, and 90% of my business do come from referrals. Well, it's a no-brainer if you're talking to a friend on the golf course and they've grown their business and they work with someone. Who did you work with? What was it like? Introduce me to Shilpa.
Yeah.
So it's a great position to be in, and one that I take a lot of my clients to as well. How can you get more referral business? How can you be unique?
Yeah. Okay. Good. And so let's say a business owner is having problems, or well, maybe they're not aware of the problem that they're facing. Um, and it turns out that they're having problems with cash flow issues. Would you diagnose that issue? And then how far into kind of the numbers and fixing that would you go?
I would most certainly help them diagnose that issue. They will be aware of it themselves, but there is absolutely no opportunity for me to do that with my limited experience. And that's when I would call someone like you, and that's where our collaboration would kick in. Given that you have a very similar philosophy to how I work with the diagnostics and the coming down and the finite ability to work numbers. So I think having been in business for so many years, it's great to have a wonderful network of consultants that I can work with to help diagnose problems and help the business owner grow. Because nobody started their business to fail or work all the hours that God sent, or often earn less than minimum wage.
Exactly. And that's pretty much along the same lines of what I talk about in my marketing and my posts on LinkedIn. It's that
Yeah.
most business owners don't pay themselves firstly what they're worth, but also above fairly for the risk they're taking and the amount of work that they put into their business. And most just don't have a way to understand what's working and not working in the business, and then more importantly, what to do, a way to know what to do next to actually address the most important issues so that they can improve profits and cash flow, and
Yeah.
make sure that they take more.
The other problem I see a lot of, and you probably are great at diagnosing this, Tom, is that the business is having a brilliant revenue, but the actual profitability of the business is so low. And you compare that to market sector industry average, and then there's some glaring obvious elements there, and maybe it's massive staff costs, but because the owner is so involved, they have a huge emotional component in keeping those staff and that massive staff roster. And that's when a good coach, a good consultant can come in and support and say, okay, well, what is really important here? And help you evaluate that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you're right. So a lot of business owners think that to get from 1 million to 2 million in, or rather to grow the business, they just need to do more sales. But sometimes that's not really going to help anything if you're not really profitable or you're not making the margins that you should. And so yeah, that's when we would look at the cost base and compare the numbers to peers and work out whether things are where they should be and profitability is in a good place.
Priceless opportunity for any business owner to evaluate that very early on in their business. And if I could talk about some of the mistakes that I built. Now, I didn't build businesses in many millions, but certainly successful enough for me to retire at a very early age, and with two exits. And I wish I had the confidence to meet consultants and advisors at an earlier age in my business, because I think they're worth their weight in gold. And unfortunately, I tapped into enterprise schemes and chambers of commerce, and where I had retired business people, given that I started my first business in 1999. The access to advisors was far and few between. And I think that would have really propelled my business early on. And I'm a big fan, and probably one of my whys as to why I do this now. I don't need to work, but I enjoy it, and I really want business owners to understand that you can have a great business and have a great life too. That's
Mhm.
my message.
Yeah. And I mean, most business owners start their business because they want to have a great life and they want one of two things, either time freedom or financial freedom or some combination of both. Otherwise everyone would probably stick around in the corporate job if that was going to give you what you needed.
Yeah, with less barriers to entry, there's many more opportunities for people to start businesses. And when people approach me and hire me, I don't tend to work at the startup stage, but very much consultancy around when this is a viable business model. I'm still always saying, what problem are you solving, and what are you going to do that's better than anyone else? Because if you can achieve those two questions, you've got the foundations of a good business.
Yeah. And it's kind of back to basics in a way, isn't it? But they're questions that most business owners don't ask themselves often enough. And so they get stuck in the weeds of fixing other things in their business that maybe don't even need to be fixed.
Yeah.
And so what does your your engagement look like with your clients? Is it a couple of calls a month? Do you go in and sit with them for a few days at the beginning? How does that look like?
Yeah, it's really dependent upon the client. The sitting with them initially is always good. I'm London based. I'm pretty global. I have clients in Dubai, America, and I had gone and done my initial session with the client where I'll spend 5 days and do a deep dive. We'll do some analysis on my AI software and just put reports and that's often a massive eye opener for business owners because they get a chance to actually look at their business from top up and not have to um, do their day-to-day work, but actually focus on what was their vision, what is their vision now, what's the gap, and what are the elements that need to be done from that. And then it really depends upon the business owner and how much time they have to dedicate. I have clients that want to speak to me daily, and that's a very short call, and that's more accountability coaching. Strategic coaching would take place every quarter with accountability and catch up calls probably monthly and bi-monthly. Again, depends upon the size of the business, the time the client has, and of course, with a call, there is always work to be done after that, unless it's just an orientation call or something's come up and they want some advice. And sometimes we go for a walk or a lunch or have a quick 9 holes.
Oh, you're a golfer. I didn't know you were a golfer. Okay.
I'm a very new golfer, but
Okay.
I can stretch 9 goals now.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so for anyone listening who wants to get in touch, we'll make sure there's a link to your website. Is there anything you want to kind of give away, a report or questionnaire, anything like that?
I offer a free business diagnostic session. So that's a 1 hour where we sit down, I plug all your numbers into AI software, and you can have a look free of charge. What are the areas? Often business owners know this, but they're often surprised to see that if they looked and we could take an hour and go through 15 key areas, the difference that it would make and the actual graphical impact on their profit it would make.
Mhm.
And I think that's a real eye opener because opportunity is beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. So there'll be a link of to book that in the show notes. So is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
Pleasure to speak with you, Tom, and I'm looking forward to working with you very soon and working together with a client.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Shilpa, thank you very much. Pleasure to have you on and good luck with business over the next few years.
Thank you, Tom. Nice to be here.
Thanks for listening. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this podcast was created to celebrate the success stories of 7-figure business owners, giving them a platform to share their insights and lessons learned in order to inspire other business owners. As well as that, it's an opportunity to build new connections. So if you're a 7-figure business owner or someone who works with 7-figure business owners and you're looking for introductions to potential stakeholders, strategic partners and clients, I'd love to hear from you or have you on as a guest and see if I can help make those connections for you. Just go to synergycfosolutions.co. That's synergycfosolutions.co and click podcast. On that page, you'll find the link to apply.